There is a morality that God is looking in his people and has been looking in his people since the creation of the world. When God set the creation of the world, he created the world with the morality that he distinguished in his people, in Adam and Eve, and from the teaching henceforth after that. And we noticed how God has spoken to each people. Let's go all the way from Abraham. There is a morality that Abraham had separate from all the other people, from all the other sinful acts of the people. And going on further, when Abraham taught his descendants, you saw the separation of the morality of Abraham as he put no other gods before him, as he obeyed the commandments of the Lord. And you go forth to Moses, where Moses took the people of God and separated them and put the sanctification of the commandments of God, teaching them again the morality of God. Fast forwarding all the way to Jeremiah, when God spoke and showed Jeremiah the sons of Jonadab, the sons of Rahab. Their father had commanded them to keep themselves pure, to have no wine, to build for themselves no house, but to live all the days of their life in a tent. And because of Nebuchadnezzar's army, they left that valley and went into Jerusalem. But nonetheless, the Lord uses them as an example. And he says, for they have obeyed their father's commandment and have not veered from it. But you have not remembered or heard my voice. You have not heard my voice when you've taken for yourself other gods and you have done X, Y, and Z. There is a morality that God will judge no matter who you are, no matter where you dwell, what you are doing. He will judge. He has to judge it, because the morality is a separation, is a chasm from what God has dictated on this earth, and man transgress, and they transgress it strongly. And that morality, we notice, is not in existence in the church. If I was to read Romans chapter 1, you would understand that no matter where you dwell, if this exists in that land, there must comes a judgment. For it says in Romans chapter 1, starting at verse 18, it says, for the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness. So it has no dictation whether you are God's people or not. This is the wrath of God that is being preserved for everything that is unmoral, according to what he has dictated the terms of morality in this world. So the world would give you their precepts of what they believe is moral and just in the code of government and how they believe you should live. But God has a saying, and this is it: for the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and the unrighteousness of man, who suppress the truth of unrighteousness, because that may be known of God is manifest in them, for God has shown it to them. For since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. So look at the state of the United States. Look at the state of this world and understand that God is simply just not pleased. He sends his evangelists, he sends his preachers, but they shut their ears. Look at verse 26. It says, for this reason God gave them up to vile passions, for even their women exchanged the natural use for what is against nature. Likewise also men, leaving the natural use of women, burned in their lust for one another. And it says, men with men committing what is shameful and receiving in themselves the penalty of their error, which was due. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a debased mind to do those things which are not fitting. And it gives a list. All right. But then verse 32 says something very important. It says, who knowing the righteous judgment of God, that those who practice such things are deserving of death, not only do the same, but also approve of those who practice them. So notice how in Jeremiah, God gives a very strong notion to those men, the sons of Rahab, because they kept themselves from the corruption and because they kept themselves in the obedience. God says this in regards to them. And Jeremiah said to the house of Rehabites, thus says the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, because you have obeyed the commandments of Jonadab your father, and kept all his precepts and done according to all that he commanded you. Therefore, thus says the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, Jonadab, the son of Rahab, shall not lack a man to stand before me forever. You see, it's something to be said about obedience and obeying, not in the sense of simply acting physically, but the separation of yourselves. You can live in the midst of a state, and as corrupt as they are, God will cover you, will sanctify you, and the judgment that is descending upon that land, God will not allow you to lack. May this message bless you this morning.